I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, July the 21st, brought to you in part by the American Gelbvieh Association. Gelbvieh balancer females offer maternal superiority through increased fertility, greater longevity, and more pounds of calf weaned per exposed cow. Go to gelbvieh.org. Double standards. I want to talk about double standards, and I'm not talking about your grading standards, which we see now that cattle are grading so much better than they have before, but your grading standards have been the same on cattle since back in the 1960s. But it's kind of weird that we've got so many cattle and people are kind of disappointed that they don't grade prime or half prime when they send the load in now. And not that many years ago, we thought prime was kind of a fluke in nature, but it has something to do with we brought these frame sizes down a little bit, and we're taking these cattle to obese weights, which helps them get there. I think more so what helps them get there is this instrument or camera grading, and somehow those cameras get out of whack pretty fast, and seems like they're grading those cattle a whole lot better than what we ever graded them before. But the double standards that I'm talking about, and one of my favorite senators, John Kennedy from Louisiana, recently said that if Washington, D.C. didn't have double standards, they wouldn't have any standards at all. And I thought that was pretty cute. But the big double standard we have is whether you're for the environment or not, or how the things you're doing are affecting the environment. And the beef industry, cattle industry has fallen victim to a lot of things, people saying that we're hurting the environment, and that's why some people are getting behind some of these fake meats and things. Not that they're more healthy for you. They can't hang their hat on that because it's been proven that they're not nearly as healthy for you. Beef is a whole food. You can't get anything more healthy than that. But the double standard is, that cattle production is hurting the environment. And you guys have been in the inner cities and looked up and smelled the air, and you've been just down the road from a major feed yard, and you can tell the difference that, their cattle production is not hurting the environment any. But the media gets behind it and talks about how great some of these outfits are, and the billionaires especially. And we've had a couple of them here in the past week or 10 days here that have really been in the news a lot. And that Richard Branson, he doesn't eat beef because he thinks it's tough on the environment. And Jeff Bezos, the most recent one that has been in the news so much, his company, one of his companies actually is driving the premiums on some of these cattle, and through his company with Whole Foods there, and that's great that we're getting some premiums there through that, but he doesn't get any flack for pushing that. But some of those program deals are really good, and nobody talks about how that program has kicked out IMI Global, which has been a third-party verifier for years and been trusted in the industry. But now they've been kicked off of the GAP program as they've developed their own verification program, people to go in there and do those verifications because they were afraid that somebody was making a little bit of money that they could absorb themselves and try to keep as much of it as they can. But both of these billionaires have been taking joyrides into outer space, and the media thinks it's fantastic. Am I the only ones that see the plume come from underneath those rockets whenever they shoot those planes up into outer space? Is that not hurting our environment? I mean, I'm not a big environment nut, but it would think that you take very many of those trips, and that's going to add up a hell of a lot quicker than a cow fart. Or even millions of cow farts. But it's unbelievable how the media just thinks it's so fantastic that they're taking these joy rides. And are they doing anything for the good with these joy rides? No, it's just an opportunity for them to sell $250,000 tickets to run up there into outer space for 10 minutes or something like that, and then come back down and everybody hoops and hollers like they did a great thing. The best thing that I saw that it did do is it gave a little business and attention to Van Horn, Texas, and Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, both desert towns that could use a little shot in the arm there, and I'm glad they actually did that. But it kind of reminds me of that 60 Minutes story that I told you about here a few months back, where Bill Gates is sitting there at his favorite hamburger place eating a cheeseburger, telling us mere mortals that we really shouldn't be eating real cheeseburgers. But you know, it's just a double standard throughout, and the media takes it and runs with it, and so many people, and you know, I'm one of them, watch more news than they do anything else, because there's not really anything worth watching, and the news is such a soap opera that we easily get sucked into it pretty fast, and more people are watching that. But whenever they've got such a big voice to put that out, it makes what they're doing look better than what we're doing, and I just don't understand why that is. Let's look at the board. On Tuesday, August live cattle futures down 47 cents at 119.77, and your packers are really getting tough and squeezing down on these bids for cattle, because you know, they're losing some of their big margin that they've been carrying, that inflated margin here for most of the year. October live cattle futures down 40 cents at 124.70. You go on out into your back months, and they were down 72 cents to up 72 on your farthest out traded month, which is December of 2022. August feeder cattle down tough, and we know why that is, because grains continue to creep higher again. Maybe not quite as volatile as they have in the last few months, but you know, it's hot. It gets hot every year about this time. It gets hot. And you know, that corn is pretty much made, but you know, Chicago still thinks you got to keep getting more rain and rain. We've had quite a bit of rain through parts of the Corn Belt. Of course, the extreme western part is dry, but you know, we're going to have plenty of corn out there, but they're going to keep jostling with it until the combines start rolling, and then everybody will just be waiting for those reports to come out. But like I said, August feeder cattle down $1.85 at 155.52. September down 127 at 157.77. You go on your back months there, and your least losses were for the farthest out, down 17 cents to down $1.07 on our more our contracts that are closer up there on the back side. Let's talk about your fat cattle trade. Just started to see a little bit of a trickle of trade on Tuesday. Now, I heard, and there were pretty widespread rumors, that we had at least a couple of big strings sell live in the Northern Plains or Midwest for 125. We haven't seen any of those reported yet. I know why one of them wasn't reported, because it was a big string, but it was to a regional that is too small to be reported by mandatory price reporting, so we didn't see anything on that. Of course, nobody volunteered it on a reported level there, but also heard of a big string that sold at 125 on Monday, and it was from a major, but it didn't come through any of our reports there, and they might have you know, stuck a kicker on it or something, anything to get it out of your most popular reports. But on Tuesday, the only thing that we saw reportable come through confirmed was Iowa had a load of steers bring 195 dress. That's off the market. Nebraska had 1,300 head from 198 to $2. That's more like it. Kansas and Texas had no confirmed reportable trade in there, and the Texas cash pool that Consolidated Beef Producers puts together or tries to put together every Tuesday, they didn't even try to buy those. You know, they acted like they were going to participate in some of those, but for the Texas cash pool that CBP puts together, had just two reportable bids there, 118 and 118.15, which is not going to cut it, and I don't blame them for not taking that on there, because the market is for sure 120. But that's the only trade we really had, and your packers are really squeezing down on there. But they don't mind bidding in the auctions when they need some cattle, and we had majors and auctions again on Tuesday. Stockman's Livestock in Yankton, South Dakota, they always have a good fat cattle sale on Tuesday there. and one of the buyers in there was giving me a report on that. He noted that conventional cattle or regular type cattle that no programs on them sell them mostly from 121 to 124, and we had majors in there buying multiple loads of those cattle at the top of that range there, and then also had majors and some of your smallers and or regionals, and had some of your order buyers bidding on cattle that were drug free or NHTC from 125 to 130, 250. But being an order buyer, he's always looking at things that were dressed, and he said the cattle sure looked to him that in the ring dress price they were ringing from 198 to 213 right there in Yankton, South Dakota. But your box beef cutout values continue to drift lower, and I've told you on recent visits they probably got quite a ways to go down, and everybody assumes that's why your packers are pulling back on these fat cattle. But you know, we're way too high anyway. If you look at this chart that I stole from Ed Serwin, my friend and longtime co-worker there and former manager of St. Joe Stockyards there, he put this he puts many of these charts together through CZ Analytics there, and does a really good job with them, and told me that I can use these when I want to. But if you look at these box beef cutout values from recent years, you notice that the red line there is 2021. Yeah, it's falling significantly, but it's still well above any of your recent years, except for 2020, when the panic buying and the gouging where it really went on big time. But you look at box beef cutout values on Tuesday afternoon. Choice cuts 264.88 down $1.61. Selects 248.58 down 91 cents. Your slaughter is kind of holding in there but falling back a little bit just through 2 days of the week. But 235,000 head of cattle harvested. That's down 6,000 from last week. 3,000 more than the same week a year ago, and we have heard rumors and actual reports that one major is going to have kind of rolling darks here over the next several weeks to be shut down a day or two in some of their big plants to do cooler cleaning and things like that. But it's funny how they didn't do that whenever they were making, you know, well over $1,000 a carcass. They've decided to do it now, which is cutting back on our harvest and cutting back on production. Makes things worse and better for them. But let's look at what else is going on. Paris Stockyards, or actually Paris Livestock Auction there, east of Paris, Texas there. That's where I'm coming to you from, is Paris, Texas here. And going to be broadcasting for the first time on DV Auction here on Wednesday, providing that I get in there early in the morning and get everything set up and rolling to go. And they mostly sell cattle, you know, like they do in Central and East Texas one at a time. But I tell you what, Gil Flott, the recent new owner there, he's putting them deals together. Had interest in doing some in-house videos. Got a hold of us here at DV Auction, and he had some on there last week that sold pretty good, but the buyers wanted more access to those videos and internet bidding. So gonna get that set up for Wednesday's sale. He's got 4 loads of yearlings on there, true yearlings right around here local, this part of Texas here. Got 2 loads of steers and 2 loads of heifers. So you guys log on to DV Auction. The sale starts at noon. Going to be selling those in-house video cattle at 3 o'clock Texas time, or Tulsa time, which sounds a lot cooler. Let's talk about your markets in your sale barns. Your real-time index on DV Auction late in the day on Tuesday sitting at 151.41, down just a nickel a hundredweight, so that's not too bad at all. How about your big sales on Tuesday? Ozarks Regional Stockyard, West Plains, Missouri, 3,100 head there for their sale. And feeder steers are backing off some of the big prices, and we've seen that in the country. Of course, most of the direct cattle are already gone in the Flint Hills, the Osage, and places like that, your major grazing areas that are going to deliver here within the next several weeks. It's just a little bit, the frost is off the pumpkin just a little bit there, pulling back some, because we've had multiple days of big time down feeder cattle, and our grains keep creeping higher. But still bringing a heck of a price, but the feeder steers at West Plains were $3 to $5 lower. Feeder heifers steady to $1 higher, so they're still wanting them. They're just a little bit more price conscious. How about some individual quotes from around the circuit? How about Welch Stockyards in Welch, Oklahoma? They had a pretty nice string of steer calves that sold with an impressive price. 54 head, 536-pound steer calves bring $181 there in Northeast Oklahoma. How about Rezac Livestock Commission there, Denny Rezac and Company? I mean, they have good sales in St. Mary's, Kansas every Tuesday. Look at these loads that they featured, load lots and bigger. These are all yearlings there. They'll be coming right off grass, and that's just barely in the northern edge of the Flint Hills there. But look at all these yearlings. And the stick-out deal to me right there is 126 head of 877-pound steers at $154.60. How about Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma? That's a whole different venue there, but they're selling the heck out of those too. And with corporate feeder bidding there, they're getting those cattle really up there. And look at all these loads they had there in Beaver, Oklahoma, including in there is 6 loads of 8-weight yearling feeder steers right in there, selling from $153.75 to $157.75, and that makes me think back of all those directs that they turned in out of the Kansas direct sales there at $151. There was like 14,000 of them or something like that, but $153.75 to $157.75 through an auction ring there in No Man's Land, Oklahoma. But the best quote that I saw anywhere on Tuesday come out of Kimball Livestock Exchange, Kimball, South Dakota. It's your Zach Tran top quote for the day. 183 head of grass yearlings, no program, 844 pounds at $164.75. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.